Hi, welcome back to my production journey where I am documenting my progress with learning how to produce music using Ableton and the Ableton Move controller, which is currently not in camera, but yeah, I have the Ableton Move controller and uh, purchased it recently at the beginning of this year. And I thought it would be cool to just document how I'm getting on with learning how to produce house music. So if this is your first time here, I actually started learning how to produce in August of last year, so August of 2025. And since then, I've released 9 tracks that I've produced. I started with the Akai MPC 2 software. And as mentioned earlier, in January of this year, I purchased the Ableton Move controller. So I moved over to Ableton. And my first 5 tracks were produced with Akai's MPC 2 software, and the 4 after that were produced in Ableton, along with the Ableton Move controller. So now today I'm releasing my 10th track, so it's a bit of a milestone for me, and I'm quite excited about it. I've put a lot of work into this track. Tried to bring together a few different ideas that I've played with throughout the other 9 tracks. And yeah, so if this is your first time, basically I try to do all these videos kind of the same. I'll just preview a small section of the song as you see here, highlighted to give you an idea of how the track is arranged and how it sounds. And then at the end of the video, I will have a visualizer that I've created with the open source project, Project M. It's a really cool visualization tool, and I thought that would be nice to add to the end of these videos. So you'll get the preview here with me talking, and I'll go over some of the stuff that I did in the track. And then at the end, if you want to listen to the full song, the visualizer will be there. Uh, what else? At the moment, I am only releasing my tracks on SoundCloud, so I don't put things on Spotify or Apple Music yet because I feel like I don't have the sound. And once I decide to expand a bit, I will move to those platforms. But yeah, I want to know what my sound is before I start really distributing it to so many different platforms. And like I said, this is my 10th track, and I'm treating it as a milestone and to try to close this initial experimental phase of my production. Um, if you listen to all 10 tracks, they don't really sound cohesive because I don't have a sound yet. I've just been playing with different methods and different styles of music or how to make music, how to make house music specifically. So I don't really have a like a staple to kind of when people hear it, they don't know if it's my track or not. And so I want that to be my next chapter to kind of really define my sound going forward. I know it's quite a long journey for most people to discover what their sound is, but I'm hoping that in this next, with track 11, whatever that may be, it kind of starts to define where I want to go with this whole music thing. Uh, so yeah, not to be too long-winded, I will play this section of the track and then I'll try to just quickly walk through some of the stuff I did. So let's play it. Yeah. So that's a little preview of the track. Actually, that preview was much longer than what I've done in the previous videos. Normally, I just do 8 or 16 bars, but you probably noticed that there was kind of a switch or a change in the track. And it's something I played with in my seventh track called Plot Twist. Um, and in the YouTube video for that track, I talk about a lot of the inspiration coming from Kerry Chandler, and specifically his track called I Feel It. Very good track, really well done. Obviously, Kerry Chandler. Um, don't expect anything less. But in that track, he switches the bass line midway through the track. And when I first recognized it, I thought that was really cool. I mean, it's something you hear in other genres of music like hip hop. You'll probably hear halfway through the song someone switches the beat up and it sounds really cool. And I think, yeah, you also hear it in house music, but for some reason that track is what really clicked for me. So when I heard the bass line switch like that, it was kind of sparked something. I'm like, oh, I can play around with this idea of kind of like building two tracks in one, or just giving two different vibes in one track, but also making it sound cohesive, obviously. So like you can see on the screen, I I'm using the same instruments for both sides of the track, and I just arranged them in a different way to give it a new feel, kind of a refresh button. Um, and probably you heard one of the sounds start to kind of get distorted around this area of the track. So this sound here, I actually have just some automation happening where I'm turning up the flanger that I have on this. So yeah, this one here, I'm hoping you can still see it on the screen. Yep. So the feedback and the dry wet on this is automated a couple times actually in this first part that you didn't hear it on the preview, but also in the second part. And I thought it was kind of a cool way to signal to the listener that something is about to happen. So a nice transition. So that was one of the staple parts of the track, at least for me, that I really found cool. It was the first time I did something like that. Um, what other sound? So what you heard on the piano kind of looping or repeating is just this E piano, and I have literally just some repeating sounds happening here. So I'll play them quickly again if I can solo it. So this. So yeah, that sound I thought was cool. I was just playing around on Ableton Move, and I just put note repeat on while I had the piano activated, and I was pressing it. And I was like, oh, this sounds cool. This could be something nice to add into the track, and it was perfect to set up the second half of the track. And I played around with the velocities a bit to really get the sound I wanted to kind of make it, yeah, kind of progress in a certain way. Um, But yeah, and then other than that, I'm always using the 909 kit, just because it's kind of like the gold standard for dance music and house music and techno, and I just love the sound of it. I know there are way more drum kits and things to use, but I just wanted to, as getting my feet wet, I just want to stick with the basics at the moment, and then once I figure out my sound that I was talking about earlier, I'll start to experiment with other, kicks and claps and stuff like that. Um, but yeah, other than that, there's not too much other special stuff happening. The bass line does switch um, on the second half of the track. So I have the first half of the track is kind of slow moving and more relaxed. And then I'm hoping that people feel like the energy level change in the second half. Uh, but yeah, that's kind of a small breakdown of this track. And like I said, on the next half of the video, you will see the visualizer and you can see hear the whole song and let me know what you think in the comments. Um, yeah, I'm going to be working on my next track soon. It might take me some time because, like I said, I want to find my sound and really pick a direction to go with this whole production thing. So I might be really nitpicking on the sound choices for the next one. So it might be some time before I release that one. Haven't started working on it at all. So it's going to be, that is going to be a journey within itself. And yeah, but before that, I think I'll be posting like another Ableton Move freestyle. Again, if you're new here, the other type of videos I like to post are with the Ableton Move controller and the camera. And basically, if you're not familiar with Ableton Move, it can pick 4 random instruments for you when you first start a new project or first start a new session. And I thought that was a cool thing to kind of get the creative juices flowing. So I've been making videos of Ableton Move picking the 4 instruments, and then I will try to make house music out of whatever those instruments may be. We don't always make, or I don't always make house music out of it. It's simply because some of the sounds might not always fit, but it's always fun to kind of um, challenge myself to take these random sounds and see what I can make out of it. So those are fun. Those I have a few of those videos up on the channel if you are interested in checking those out. But yeah, before I'm back with track 11, whatever that is, I'll be sure to have at least one freestyle video posted with that. So yeah, thanks for listening to the breakdown and enjoy the visualizer, and I'll see you in the next video.